Oh, the time is here. The time is here, my friends. Star Jump Grim and the Star Jump team. Oh my God, they are at it again. My God, look at this. Just out. The Anvil Crucible. Now, let me tell you about the Crucible. This is a ship since its inception I have been very interested in. It's a repair ship. Now with salvage in the game the way that it is, I think the Crucible makes a lot of sense to put on the priority list and get the Crucible out with all the new things that we can do in the game. It just makes sense that this ship gets bumped up and gets pushed out. I want to see it. Crucible, let's watch.
Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of Star Jump Shipyard. This is a show where we take a detailed look at a particular Star Citizen ship, discuss what is known, speculate on the future, and try to give you an unbiased assessment of where that ship fits within the verse, and possibly your hangar. On this episode, we discuss the Anvil Crucible, the flying toolbox that is Anvil's first dedicated repair ship. However, this is a ship that was concepted in the early days of the project, so we're going to look at where it's at currently and how it may be reconcepted as the game evolves moving forward.
Awesome.
Please watch until the end of the episode for a special
Predator
giveaway
mounts.
courtesy of Predator Mounts.
You're everywhere, man.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about
Trip
Anvil
store.
Aerospace, manufacturer of the Crucible. Anvil Aerospace is based on Terra and provides ships for both the military and citizens of the UEE. They are primarily known for making some of the best fighters in the Star Citizen universe. Now, as more and more private citizens take up militia
Anvil's
duties,
my jam. I like
Anvil
Anvil.
Aerospace is making sure that they cover all contingencies by providing ships that enable the high-level repair capabilities needed to keep citizens safe and prosperous in the verse. The initial design brief highlighted CIG's efforts to get a cool-looking ship that captured both the utilitarian feel as well as the fast and sleek impression that the ship was meant to give off. It's important to remember that these early, very rough design ideas are simply a way to explore a ship's rough silhouette without wasting too much time on any small details. Let's look at a few different images that really show off the wildly different shape languages
Wow.
that were initially explored.
Holy
It
God.
was decided early on that the ship would have a workshop-type module that could be accessible to ships in need of repair, as well as planet-side compatibility to effect repairs on ground vehicles. In addition, a large
we'll
cockpit
get
with an
there.
array of
With him, we'll
windows
get
that
there.
provided good visibility to the repair work happening was also an early idea favorite. It's at these early stages that the flow of the ship starts to be heavily considered. For example, this could consist of where elevators or ladders would be located, or where certain rooms will sit within the limited space inside the ship. Additionally, serious thought is being applied to the ship's repair arms.
I believe the bridge is still above and looking over the repair area. If I might be incorrect on the most modern design of it, but I love that bridge area. I love being able to own a ship like this and be in that bridge area and just kind of look down to see all the work going on. It's just such a neat look.
How they will function, what is their reach and
It rotates,
usability,
yeah.
and how they
Yeah.
will fold up and secure themselves within the ship's boundaries. Here are some additional interior renderings that begin to show off the seat, component, and workstation placement. At some point through development, the workshop was changed so that the doors opened up in such a way that they allow the repair arms maximum range of unrestricted movement, as well as the engines to tilt, pivot, and slide. You can see that change reflected in the more boxy design of the workshop. Another aspect of this change was it reinforced that utilitarian look of the ship and provided a nice contrast to the circular bridge and habitation sections of the ship. Because this is the last known information directly speaking to the workshop scarab's shape, and knowing that two shapes have been shown in the hollow models in the past, the wedge and box shape, we will primarily be showing the box-shaped scarab workshop moving forward in this video. Just understand that it's very likely the shape language of this module will change during reconcepting. These changes also created a large front fuselage area to house the new drone launch area. With concept artwork created especially for the ship sail, you can really begin to see the different functions of the Crucible
He's
come to
going
life
back
through
for the
the actions
history of
being
the design.
depicted.
I like it.
We have both small fighter and capital ship repair, we see the amazing panoramic bridge view, and we even see the Crucible flying in both directions with its rotatable primary engines. Now that all the concept art is nearing completion, the vision for the Crucible was reaching a state where a concept sale could move forward.
Uh-huh.
Now let's look at what eventually went on sale to the backers. The Crucible is a fully equipped, dedicated repair ship, capable of repairing the full range of ships in the verse, from the smallest light fighters all the way up to the capital-sized monsters that will eventually populate the game. It comes with an enclosed repair hangar, transversing and rotating main engines, allowing it to fly in both forward and backward configurations, at least a...
Dude, I love everything about this ship, man. This is so cool. I would like a larger version of this too. Like, you know, like I would like a much larger version with a deck that can hold at least 3 ships. I think that would be awesome as well. I think it should be very pricey too. A game like a ship like this is very could be monumental in a fleet, even if you have it on the back end, so that when you're advancing, you're fighting against another squad or fleet, that the ships that are limping and lame can lame duck it back to this ship behind your larger carriers and larger destroyers, and you can bank them in behind there, and that way you can take all the lame ducks from the battle, fly them into this Crucible. Crucible fixes them, boom, pit stop, right back out into the fight. So that's a tactic I would use for this ship, and I think one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to the ship. But another feature that most everybody's looking forward to the ship for is its salvaging potential. To have it on a crew where you're salvaging, and in a fleet where you can be basically in space forever. Like this is one of those ships, if you bring this ship with you, that you can pretty much a starfarer, what else could you compose together? Like, what would you guys have a fleet of ships if you wanted to be like live out in space forever? Like, I would definitely have this with me. This would be one of those ships I'd be like, this is a necessity to bring this ship with me if I wanted to just live like a space nomad and be out in space all the time. The starfarer would be another one. I'd have to say Carrick. I know that sounds like elitist, but for the juice, right, Coob? So like Crucible, Starfarer, right? Like just live out in space forever, you know?
According to the ship's concept art. However, please note, this aspect of the ship could easily change. The Crucible is also equipped with a rotating bridge section that allows it to overlook repairs occurring within the Scarab hangar. Its repair scarab, or hangar, can be detached in space and on planetary surfaces, allowing the ship to more easily focus on the repairing of capital ships with the 2 medium-sized repair arms located in its left and right nacelles. With the hangar detached, the ship positioning will become easier to negotiate in order to effect those repairs. Alright, let's take a more detailed look at the repair scarab. The repair scarab currently supports 4 small medium repair arms. Overhead hangar doors that can be opened even during repair operations on ships that exceed the hangar's height limits. The repair scarab can also be retrieved at any time, allowing the operator of the Crucible to interface with several hangars at once by docking and undocking, essentially giving the Crucible a sort of repair/tow ship sort of role, or even the role of a small carrier ship if one desired. The repair scarab can even be brought planet-side with its drop-down ramp. The scarab allows for the repairing and servicing of ground vehicles, something truly unique to the Crucible platform. The ship is also capable of deploying repair drones to service ships of any type. As stated during the sale of the ship, it comes equipped with a drone operations center. The Crucible went on sale for a pledge price of $350. Knowing that the Crucible will possibly grow in size and complexity as it makes its way through the production pipeline, the ship is very likely to go up from its original price. Okay, let's get the Crucible's current dimensions out of the way. The ship comes in with an overall beam of 50 meters, a height of 20 meters, and a length of 90 meters. While this squarely sits the Crucible in the large category of ships, the current size is most likely not accurate, and we will address why a little later in this video. Internally, the Crucible is slated to carry roughly 230 SCU of cargo, and is currently equipped with 1 medium and 2 small computers. There's a bed inside of that, huh, Stunner? 1 large power plant.
See you, Oz. Have a good night,
2 large shield generators, 1 large radar.
I love Super Mod Oz.
And 2 large coolers. Once again, keep in mind that all those stats just listed will definitely change once the ship goes into active development. The Crucible is slated to support a crew of 3 to 8.
Do we know when
with
this is
repair
going into
gameplay
active
still being
development?
developed, this
'Cause
crew
I
count
think
will
it
most
should be
likely
now.
grow to accommodate all the roles this ship will require to operate at peak efficiency. From an armament standpoint, the Crucible is never going to be a frontline.
This makes a lot of sense. Don't you guys think this makes a lot of sense to put this actively in production right now? I think this just seems like a slightly larger ship, not a game-breaking ship, and the perfect ship to be putting into production right now.
Fighter. The
Right,
Crucible is a
right.
heavy repair ship and is
Put a
thus
1 if
very
you agree
lightly
with that.
armed. Currently supporting
I think
one
this is a ship
dual
they
mount
should- yeah,
size 4
definitely,
weapon
Hugh.
that is still yet to be determined. In order
It
to
just
get
makes
such
a
a
lot of
large and
sense right
complicated
now.
ship to move, the Crucible is equipped
and I love
with 4
industrial
main
ships.
thrusters, 2
So do
retro
I, man.
thrusters,
So do I,
and
dude.
26 maneuvering thrusters.
What's up, Dark Spike? Welcome home, buddy.
The Crucible is a ship with a very specific role in the
It
verse.
has to irritate
That
it. Also, I will say this. I think it's going to get slightly bigger as well, but I don't think it's going to be game-breakingly bigger. And I think it makes a lot of sense to put in right now, especially with all the salvaging and everything that we're able to do now.
of a dedicated repair ship. And
And
to
with beams
really
being able to
understand that
fit
role,
ships now.
we need to talk a little bit about the repair gameplay loop and how it's currently envisioned by CIG. The repair gameplay loop is a resource-based gameplay loop. The idea is that
I love the inner, like the column, like that center column, right? I just love that. Looks like a little mushroom sitting in the middle. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's got like its little halves and its little sections in the middle. I love that. That is so cool, man. And that scarab being able to detach like that and eject like that, it's such a cool utilitarian industrial ship, man. Like, this is different than a lot of ships that we have right now. This is different on a whole nother level. I love this design.
the repair gameplay loop is a
I love
resource-based
this.
gameplay
Like,
loop.
this is how I want it to look, with that scarab to be able to attach it. Final design, maybe a little bit bigger. That's what she said.
The idea is that ships are damaged.
He
You'll
did
be
say-
able to then
Sketch
use
us
resources
that,
in
they
the
told
form
us
of
that it
materials,
won't get
ingredients,
any bigger.
components, and subcomponents, and combine those in particular ways to affect repairs on the ship. This requires the implementation
still a
of
very
several
large
new
ship,
types
right,
of
Sketch?
operator modes.
I think you're
the
right
first
about that.
being the repair arm operator. Essentially, this is one who controls the repair arm itself, much like you would control the salvage and mining
can't
arms
wait
on
to
the
see the
Vulture and
animations on this
Prospector,
shit.
respectively. However, this can also be
It's like
thought of in the
repair
same
mode on
way as
Blast
a
on
drone
steroids.
operator, with the drone essentially being a maneuverable platform for the repair arms. We know drones will play a role in repair gameplay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Dude, I hope the animations they put are like first class interstellar, like little fucking nanobots putting shit together, like printing that shit out. That would be awesome.
Shortly. But drones, in a sense, are repair arms that are able to be piloted and maneuvered essentially. The next role is the
Those
repair
drones are
task
gonna be
manager.
sweet.
They will work at a terminal and
See you,
relay
Killian.
detailed damage information
It's
to
so
the
good to see
repair
you,
arm
man. Thanks for
operator
stopping in
and
here. We
designate
definitely
repair
miss you,
tasks
brother.
to be undertaken. And they are responsible for the management and allocation of repair material resources to each repair arm operator in order for the repairs to be undertaken.
Yeah, Hugh.
Consider the number of repair arms the Crucible has, and that can inform you a bit on the crew requirements for this ship. We'll come back to that in just a minute. Once the repair task manager scans the damaged ship, they can start to use their materials panel to allocate and assign various
this is
materials
cool.
that
This
are
is
needed
cool,
to
man.
affect those
The
repairs.
mini gameplay.
These materials are gathered through trades such as mining, trading, and scavenging. You will then combine and assemble those into the compounds that are needed to
No,
affect
this is
repairs. In a sense, this is a type of craft.
Grimm's real good at making sure he's staying factual when he goes through these. He's probably one of the best in the biz doing what he's doing, man. Like, I'll say this. I love the fact that you're able to get this type of mini gameplay on ships like this. I think the farther they delve into that mini kind of game within a game gameplay, that is what makes the game really cool. That specialization, the time that you take to learn your craft and how good you are at it. No experience points, no skill books. It's just you and what it is that you're doing. I think that really defines why this game's different than a lot of other games.
You're taking certain materials, combining them into new materials in order to then repair certain parts and pieces of the damaged ship. Now that we have given a brief overview of how repair gameplay is supposed to work in Star Citizen, it's important to remember that the Crucible is not the only dedicated repair ship planned for Star Citizen. We also have the Aegis Vulcan. The Vulcan takes a slightly different approach to repair gameplay and relies primarily on its assortment of 4 drones to effect repairs on damaged ships. While the Crucible is slated to have drone capabilities, there are still some questions that remain regarding how big a role they will play in the ship's primary repair role.
Wow.
These drones can be looked at.
Okay, 1 second. We're going to take a pause here because I got to read Futz's comment real quick here. Hold on. Let me take a breath. All right, Futz wrote me something very special here. When somebody takes his time to write this, I have to read this book. Yes, books. So Futz says, how cool would it be if when the game is just about done and we have all these cool things and we could build our own bases, StarJump has his own shipyard on a planet somewhere and you got to take your ship there and he can customize it and do all kinds of crazy shit with it. And then you pay them and you could deal with his character personally when he's online behind the counter somewhere. Like, that would be freaking awesome.
Yes!
It would be magical, Futz. It would be magical, bro. Like, that's the whole point, right? It's like where your imagination takes you. Now, can Cloud Imperium do this, right? And they have to create this MMO, this beautiful sandbox. They have to make it immersive by making sure there's plenty of dynamic events and getting these game mechanics in the game that we so desperately want and need. You're going to see a lot of land ownership. You're going to see a lot of trading and economic gameplay and industrialized gameplay after Quanta hits, after server meshing gets somewhat in a better state, as in functioning, which is going to take a long time. But after that, I think we'll have an explosion with land ownership, with the things that you're talking about, Futz, where people get more invested into the game and, no wipes.
That is simply an EVA type platform for a series of repair arms. In that respect, they aren't really different from the repair arms that are situated in the Crucible's nacelles and Workshop Scarab. The only real difference is perhaps the amount of repair material that those drones will be able to carry. However, these repair arms are really just one aspect of a large group of options the Crucible captain has at their disposal. The Crucible relies on its flexibility to effect repairs in several different ways. With its ability to dock and undock from its Workshop Scarab, the Crucible is not restricted to a particular size range of ships that it can repair. Now, with its hangar in place, it can repair any ship in the Hornet size range. However, disconnecting that hangar allows the 2 medium-sized repair arms to open up and repair ships that are much larger. This includes capital ships if you go by the concept art that CIG has released. Here's an example of some of that concept art showing the Crucible repairing an Idris, the capital-sized frigate made by Aegis Dynamics.
Dude, you need this ship, and the amount of money it's going to take to repair larger ships like the Idris, man. Think about the amount of money you're going to need to really roll in one of these things, right? Like, really think about the amount of resources you're going to need in order to have a ship that can actually afford the materials needed to fix a capital ship. Just let that soak in for a moment, right? Not only do you need the Crucible, but you need the materials inside to be able to fix what it is that you're looking at. And primarily, I would say this ship's going to be used to fix capital-sized ships. And the amount of resources and materials that you're going to need inside the Crucible to fix larger ships like this is going to be on a scale that is massive. If you're somebody that owns the ship that can actually go in as a freelancer and then get yourself some contracts with some really big organizations and land some deals, you could sell those mats for double the price by doing the work needed to fix those cap ships. And that is awesome on large operations, like on large scale fleet operations. You would bank so big with this ship.
This flexibility also means that the Crucible quite possibly won't need to grow all that much. The Crucible can also land and detach its Workshop Scarab on the surface of any planet or moon. This could really be a must-have for any ground-based racing fleet. With the Scarab's drive-on, drive-off ramp in the front, as well as its rooftop doors' ability to open up, it means that ground vehicles would not be limited by their vertical height when accessing the workshop. I could see a situation in the future
That's handy.
where a Crucible owner may own several different workshop modules that are in different locations, while the Crucible itself moves between all of them, depending on the repair needs of the fleet or operation currently going on. This type of functionality could easily be used for race teams, with the repair scarabs set up planet-side, much like current-day race teams have their transport trucks and mobile garages right there on site for the race.
This would be great for Atmo or XGR for racing orgs. You know what I'm saying? This would be great to have on hand during that. I mean, this ship could be used right now.
It should now be easy to see why so many players and orgs look to the Crucible as their fleet's primary repair ship.
Yep.
Even though we probably will have additional repair ships announced by CIG in the future,
Limitless. This is gonna
those
be one of those
ships
modded,
could be more focused on a single line of approach to the repair gameplay loop,
I would have,
or perhaps use entirely new repair gameplay mechanics that are unknown to us at this time. However, that shouldn't take away from everything that the Crucible offers. It's an ambitious ship in both its role in the verse and how players will be able to utilize its many.
It's the engines. The engines are really cool on that track like that. I love that because it makes the ship maneuverable. Because if you think about it, it has to be very maneuverable, very much like the Fury. Like think about the Fury and all those little engines behind that little flying turret. Now look at these engines here on a larger size ship, and look how they move down this track, and you have like full range of movement. I love the way that these engines move.
However, that shouldn't take away from everything that the Crucible offers. It's an ambitious ship in both its role in the verse and how players will be able to utilize its many functions.
I love it.
There are only two real issues at this early stage that any prospective Crucible owner should be aware of. The first of these being the current Anvil design language and how it has evolved from the time of the Crucible's original concept phase. It's interesting to consider which characteristics could carry over into a possible rethink of the Crucible's overall look. When we take a more recent Anvil design like the Liberator and even the Valkyrie and apply some of those characteristics to the Crucible, we can see how the ship could evolve once it goes into reconcepting. This bit of creative redesign was a fun exercise, and I like how the ship feels a bit beefier and has some shape language callbacks to other ships in Anvil's lineup.
I love them.
Another potential issue is the ship's current size of 90 meters. The Crucible was always sold as being able to repair an Anvil Hornet within its Scarab hangar. We need to take another look at the Scarab alongside modern ship hangar metrics. This consideration can help inform us as to where the ship will end up from a size standpoint. There are two hangar metrics we need to take note of. First is the size 2 or small hangar pad at 24 meters by 32 meters.
Here we go.
The next is the size 3 or medium hangar pad, which has a metric of 48 meters by 48 meters. Now, taking the dimensions of the size 2 pad at 24 by 32 meters, you will see that it fits quite well into the Crucible's current Scarab dimensions if we stick to the Crucible's 90 meter length. This would be capable of servicing the Hornet as it sits in the game today. However, if CIG...
But here's the thing, like Sketch was saying, like I think even at that size, right? People still underestimate the size of that particular hangar right there. You know, like even at that size, even though it's not as large as we want it, it's still much larger than what we're imagining.
G wants the Crucible to handle anything larger than a medium fighter, then the Scarab hangar will most likely have to grow to accommodate that change.
That's what we want.
Scaling up the Scarab to a size 3 pad at 48 meters by 48 meters would put the Crucible at a rough length of 150 meters.
But Sketch,
time will tell which
Sketch, you said you watched Star Citizen Live, though, where they said they weren't going to upgrade, man? Oh, man, I hope they do.
Direction CIG decides to take with the Crucible once the ship enters a reconcepting phase at some point in the future.
It should go size 3, definitely.
In conclusion, the Anvil Crucible really stands alone in its capabilities as a repair ship. You could consider it the current endgame of repair ships. With its highly flexible main thrusters, its ability to rotate its bridge and fly forward or backwards depending on the situation.
This is my jam.
Its detachable and closed repair hangar bay. It's both internal and external repair arms that allow it to repair ships of any size. And finally, its support of drones and the flexibility that provides to support a growing fleet of ships. We don't yet know when the Crucible...
I mean, really, like entry level, being able to put one ship in there should be another stage. And like one of you said in the chat, like I would believe this is gonna be sold with some type of modules. Like you could imagine that the scarab piece could almost be designed however you would need it to be. They could even stack it. They could stack like multiple hangers. Like a Grim Hex docking situation where they take the scarab and then they whoop and they enlarge it so that you can fit like 3 ships and stack 3 ships in and just stack them vertically like a tape deck. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be cool if they just all they had to do is modify the scarab portion of the hangar center there and just like stack a few in the middle or maybe go straight and then go down with it so that the scarab goes. You could do a lot with this ship. And it would all be like a module, like a scarab module that has different pad sizes, you know?
Will go into active development, and there are concerns.
Like, I think that would be a smart idea for them to take this module, the scarab module, and make different versions of it, and they would sell more. They would sell more that way as well. They make a lot more revenue that way. You could fix it so that the scarab module is only for ground units. You could fix it where you could stack like 3 different hangars, right, and have triple the amount of size vertically in it by just dropping the scarab down. There's so many different things you could do here that would bring more revenue in for Cloud Imperium, and I think only design changes that you would need was within that scarab module.
Regarding any complicated ship and when CIG may have plans to move forward on such a complex
floating
project.
For naval, right?
However, Anvil is getting more and more ships
fingers.
under its banner, and as CIG has stated many times, the more ships a manufacturer has, the more mature its asset library becomes. This ultimately makes the ships a bit faster to create in the future.
I think they'll do it,
all
and
right.
I think they'll do
That's
it with the
be
module
it for this
in the middle.
episode
You
of
watch,
Starjump
they'll do it.
Shipyard. I hope you
That's
all enjoyed
awesome.
this look into
I love
everything